It was very clear that Joe Biden knew what Hunter was doing, and these emails will help tell us and fill out that picture.
Especially the ones where he's like, look, you can't tell people that I'm going to help you out because I'm just not, son.
And that, Hunter Biden, who's, the son of the then vice president, was benefiting financially from that. Now, the more interesting thing
is how Devon Archer made more money, and he's not even related to Biden. Did Joe Biden like Devon Archer more than Hunter?
and in addition to all of that, is how Joe Biden, who used to call himself Amtrak Joe, said he was the poorest member of the Senate and had been in public service since the Nixon administration,
Right.
Suddenly can afford multiple houses, including.
Well, you have 23 years of his taxes. It's pretty fucking easy.
Conspiracy is here, and that is, it was very clear that Joe Biden knew what Hunter was doing, and these emails will help tell us and fill out that picture.
Especially the ones where he's like, look, you can't tell people that I'm going to help you out because I'm just not, son.
And that, Hunter Biden, who's, the son of the then vice president, was benefiting financially from that. Now, the more interesting thing
is how Devon Archer made more money, and he's not even related to Biden. Did Joe Biden like Devon Archer more than Hunter?
And in addition to all of that is, how, Joe Biden, who used to call himself Amtrak Joe, said he was the poorest member of the Senate and had been in public service since the Nixon administration,
Right.
Suddenly can afford, multiple houses, including.
Well, you have 23 years of his taxes. It's pretty fucking easy. Also, just for the record, once you become vice president or even become a presidential candidate and then become vice president and then live through that time and then post-presidency, a lot of your house costs and shit like that can kind of go down because the government has to protect you. And so there are a lot of normal things about your life that the government has to kind of pick up, kind of like in your healthcare and the like. These expenditures that get very expensive for a lot of people go away. But you can look at his taxes, 23 fucking years. You can see exactly how the house was bought, how they own it. Like, it's just stupid. And he knows this, by the way.
Beachfront property in his home state of Delaware.
Yes. Beachfront property in Delaware at the lake is just it's fuck Miami and Beverly Hills or like Malibu. Fuck Malibu. That's not, these aren't the beaches. It's the fine, comforting beaches of Delaware, especially on the lake where insofar as I can see where the house is, there is no beach.
It is an accumulation of massive wealth.
Massive wealth. Massive. Guys, it's massive wealth. Hold on. I think, I'm just going to say that I think it probably is just the Biden brand is worth a lot, and that's what elevates their net worth. This works for Trump. Why not work for him? Okay, so Biden. Let's see. Okay. We'll go up to here. How much is Joe Biden? Let's find out. After cashing in during the Trump era, Joe Biden is once again taking government paycheck. That's not stopping him from continuing to add millions to his fortune. President Biden is worth an estimated $10 million, up from $8 million when he took office. The increase has nothing to do with family business dealings in far-flung countries. Instead, he's getting richer by doing what a lot of 80-year-old Americans are doing, sitting on real estate. The president owns 2 homes in Delaware that are worth an estimated $7 million combined. So his entire of his $10 million net worth, $7 million is the houses. 1.8 million more than when he took office. So they were 5 when he took office. The most valuable property is a 4,800 square foot summer home in Rehoboth Beach, worth an estimated 4.5 million. Biden bought it in 2017, the year he left the vice presidency, and earned 11.1 million, cashing in on speeches and books. So he bought it in 2017. I don't remember who was president in 2017, but I'm sure someone in the chat will tell me. He added a pool, which may have cost as much as $75,000 in November of that year. All this seemed like a splurge at the time, but it proved to be a wise investment. During the pandemic, homebuyers flocking to bigger properties with outdoor amenities like Biden's, 7 minutes from the ocean and next to a state park loaded with biking trails. 7 minutes from the ocean. That's a big fucking beach. Can you imagine walking on a beach for 7 minutes to reach the water? That's more like a mini desert. All right, next to a state park loaded with biking trails. That's why Trump would never buy there. The home is now worth an estimated 4.5 million, 1.7 more than it originally cost. The president owns an even larger, though not quite as valuable house in Wilmington's picturesque Greenville neighborhood. It started at just a piece of land, which Biden bought for $350,000 in 1996, before adding a 6,850 square foot colonial-style home 2 years later. Then a 1,900 square foot cottage in 2005. For years, it was Biden's most valuable asset. He refinanced it repeatedly until receiving his 2017 windfall. Today, the property is worth an estimated $2.5 million. $700,000 more than it was worth 2 years ago. Combined, Biden's homes make up about 2/3 of his personal fortune. Middle-class Joe, whose spokespeople did not respond to questions for comment, has long had an appreciation for some of the finer things in life. His father, Joe Sr., had a series of fledgling businesses before finding his niche as a car dealer. When Joe Jr. got married to his first wife in '67, his father gave him a 1967 Corvette Stingray, paying $5,600 at the time, $51,000 in today's dollars. Decent investment. The car remains in the president's garage and is worth an estimated $100,000 a day today. Part of his net worth is a fucking car he's had since 1967. He's the original owner. Jesus Christ, I'm starting to think Biden should have written Art of the Deal. Biden's love for real estate goes back just as far. When he was in his mid-20s, Biden purchased 3 houses and 85 acres in Maryland, hoping to one day turn it into a family compound. In the short term, he tried to make money from it, renting out the homes. Meanwhile, he and his family lived rent-free in a cottage nearby. They lived in the cottage and rented out the houses. Like the Trumps would do, in exchange for managing a local pool. Jesus Christ. He and his family lived rent-free in a cottage nearby in exchange for managing a local pool. Money was tight. He later explained in his memoir, I was in constant danger of falling behind. It's all the worth of his houses. He's got a pension, which is a big chunk of it, and other holdings, which are just kind of random. Nonetheless, he bought an even bigger house in 1975, a 10,000 square foot mansion that once belonged to a storied Delaware family, the DuPonts, with a courtyard, pool house, circular drive, and colonnade. The house was spectacular, so much so that misinformation warriors, including former first son Eric Trump, used it to accuse Biden of corruption in the 2020 presidential race, long after Biden had sold the property. The truth of how he acquired it was more mundane. Biden took on a lot of debt. Earning about $43,000 as U.S. senator at the time, he borrowed $160,000 to purchase the place for $185,000. He bought a 10,000 square foot mansion in 1975 for $185,000. He held on to the home, and thanks to rising property values, even turned it into something of a piggy bank. When he needed cash, he refinanced the property, taking out more and more debt as the years went on. How did all the mainstream middle-class people get their wealth? Biden asked a group of mayors earlier. 90% of them through investing in their homes. That was certainly true in his case. In 96, he sold the mansion for $1.2 million, then plunked down $350,000 for a piece of land nearby, where he had plans to build a new home on a pond. You know, a beach with the good old beachfront pond property. Biden constructed 2 houses on the property, turning it into the Wilmington estate he owns today. He proceeded to treat it like a piggy bank too, repeatedly refinancing over the years. After he became vice president, Secret Service started renting the cottage, reportedly paying him $26,400 annually. Fucking Trump was getting that by the month at Mar-a-Lago. One year, his son's bone hunter paid to rebuild the engine of his Corvette. But money was still a problem for the family, especially when Bo got sick with cancer, which ultimately killed him in 2015. Joe Biden contemplated selling the Wilmington home to help out with the medical bills. Barack Obama told him that if he needed extra money, he'd be happy to personally cover the expenses. Cash came pouring in after Biden left the White House. Former vice president earned $11.1 million in 2017, 4.6 in 2018, $1 million in 2019, and $630,000 in 2020, the year he was elected commander-in-chief. Between his time as vice president and president, his net worth shot up from an estimated 2.5 to 8. Now he's even richer thanks to real estate holdings, which have helped his, and again, he's just sitting on his house. It's not like he's fucking gambling on real estate. Never much of a stock investor, Biden has plenty of cash on hand. Today, he and First Lady Jill Biden have less than $310,000 invested in the market, all held in mutual funds. Much more is simply sitting in bank accounts. President collects $400,000 a year in salary, plus a $250,000 pension payout. Should he want any extra liquidity down the road, he can always borrow against his holdings. At the end of the last year, the president took out a home equity line of credit against the Rehoboth property, allowing him to draw as much as $250,000. One asset that's off limits, though, is the Corvette. They tell me it's worth a lot of money, Biden said at the White House bill signing last year, but I know if I ever sell it, Bo will come down from heaven and smite me down. His sons rebuilt the engine on it so it would keep running. The fucking story that these assholes tell about the money, the fucking money. For a former, like, fucking hell. Wait, let me, one more time. Let me look something else up. Let's see. Here's Dick Cheney. You want to see how much Dick Cheney's worth? His net worth, $150 million. Just saying. Biden's president of the United States right now. He's worth about $10 million because his houses have gone up because he just stays in them, fixes them up, and then has refinanced them until he was able to pay off the financing. He even took out a secondary loan. Like, oh, God damn it. So, Dick Cheney's worth $150 million. How about that? Let me do this. How about fuck. Dan Quayle is worth almost as much. Dan Quayle, yeah, here you go. Dan Quayle's net worth is $7 million. Is anybody going to buy, like, Dan Quayle's fucking book? Potato is spelled with an E, god damn it. Like, all right.